if you cannot pass to Q2 because it was blocked. I think that's clear, no?
I think in that particular case, it was quite a tricky one. But I think, Checo, I think you'll agree it was dealt with quite...
Formula One is a crucible of human ambition, engineering prowess, and split-second judgment. Its rulebook is never static. Every season brings technical tweaks, sporting clarifications, and safety upgrades. Often these changes emerge not from committee debates, but from the choices of individual drivers on track. A teenager pushing the limits of age and licensing requirements, a legend caught in an arcane point system, a promising talent whose tragic crash forced a revolution in cockpit protection, a champion who risked life and limb, demanding safer circuits, and many more. Their stories illuminate how, in F1, one moment of brilliance or heartbreak can reshape regulations for all. Strap in, because these are the moments where a single driver's actions rewrote the rulebook. Max Verstappen. When Max Verstappen burst onto the F1 scene at the 2015 Australian Grand Prix, he was just 17 years and 166 days old, making him the youngest driver ever to start a world championship race. Born into a racing family, his father Jos won the 1993 British Formula 3 Championship. Verstappen honed his skills in karting before stepping into a Toro Rosso cockpit. Many questioned whether someone without a full road legal license, let alone real-world driving experience, could master a 750 horsepower turbo hybrid beast capable of 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in under 2.5 seconds. Yet, in his second race, he delivered a composed midfield performance that silenced critics. The FIA reacted swiftly. Ahead of the 2016 season, it amended its super license criteria, mandating a minimum age of 18 and at least 40 championship points from lower categories to qualify. Even so, Verstappen secured his license by accruing the necessary points in European Formula 3, and Toro Rosso promoted him mid-season, making him the youngest ever race winner at the 2016 Spanish Grand Prix, 18 years, 228 days. His relentless style, late braking into Turn 1, aggressive defensive moves through Eau Rouge pushed rivals to the brink. After a dramatic near collision with Kimi Raikkonen at the 2017 Japanese Grand Prix that forced both off track, the FIA introduced stricter rules on moves under braking. Any change of direction deemed to endanger another car would now incur a penalty. Verstappen's flair also exposed gaps in the restart regulations. At the 2021 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, during the late race safety car phase, he mimicked the leader's pace before flooring the throttle as soon as the pack crossed the line, an approach never explicitly forbidden. While he capitalized and secured his first championship, the FIA clarified that drivers must maintain consistent speed relative to the safety car and cannot deliberately accelerate or decelerate to outfox opponents at restarts. Even the exuberance of Verstappen's victory celebrations led to rule tweaks. His cool-down lap burnouts at the 2022 Austrian Grand Prix drew applause from fans, but ire from officials who worried about tire debris littering the track and safety crew exposure. From 2023 onward, such displays were restricted to the pit exit and must avoid confined areas where marshals or media operate. In 4 short years, Verstappen influenced licensing, on-track conduct, restart protocols, and celebration etiquette, all before turning 25. Ayrton Senna's points paradox. Back in 1988, the championship counted only each driver's best 11 races. Alain Prost scored more points overall, but Ayrton Senna's best 11 finishes were enough to steal the title. Alain Prost amassed 105 points over 16 races, consistently finishing on the podium, while teammate Ayrton Senna collected 94 points over the season. Yet, Senna won the title because his top 11 finishes totaled 90 points to Prost's 87. Prost's additional podiums, worth 18 points, were discarded. The controversy sounded throughout the paddock. Prost, frustrated by the system that neglected his consistency, publicly criticized the best results rule as unfair. Senna himself admitted that, while he benefited from it, the outcome did not reflect true season-long performance. Fans and media alike lamented that a points-dropping scheme rewarded occasional brilliance over sustained excellence. Debate raged through 89 and 90, with team principals lobbying the FIA for reform. Prost won the championship again in 1989 with 76 points from 16 races, under the same best 11 rule, while Senna scored 60. But by 1991, the FIA abolished the drop score system, moving to a cumulative model where every point counted. The change simplified the title chase, made every race result consequential, and ensured fairness across a whole season. Senna's 1988 triumph remains a stark reminder that even legends can expose loopholes that demand correction. Jules Bianchi and the birth of the halo. At the 2014 Japanese Grand Prix, treacherous rain and the narrow Suzuka layout combined into a deadly mix. On lap 43, Jules Bianchi lost control of his Marussia at high speed on the approach to turn 7 and slid across the gravel into the path of a tractor crane, recovering Adrian Sudel's immobilized Sauber. Bianchi's helmet struck the crane's attachment, causing catastrophic head injuries. He spent 9 months in a coma before passing away on July 17, 2015, the first track incident fatality since Ayrton Senna's in 1994. The incident prompted the FIA to commission an independent study into head protection. Out of that came the halo, a 3-point titanium structure mounted above the cockpit, designed to deflect debris and absorb vertical and lateral loads up to 116 kilonewtons. Despite initial driver reservations about visibility and aesthetics, comprehensive simulator and on-track testing proved its efficacy. By 2018, the halo was compulsory in F1, F2, GP3, and selected endurance series. The device's life-saving potential was dramatically confirmed at the 2020 Bahrain Grand Prix, when Romain Grosjean's Haas pierced the barriers and burst into flames. As flames engulfed the nose and cockpit area, Grosjean's helmet struck a barrier at high speed. The halo deflected much of the barrier away, allowing Grosjean to extricate himself with only burns to his hands and ankles. Bianchi's legacy also catalyzed the virtual safety car (VSC) system in 2015. Under the VSC, drivers must adhere to a delta time that limits speed uniformly across the track, neutralizing the race immediately without needing a physical safety car. The VSC reduces the time marshals and medical crews spend exposed to traffic and ensures safer cleanup of debris or damaged cars. Today, both the Halo and VSC stand as testaments to Bianchi's impact, proving that every ounce of inquiry after tragedy can translate into life-saving innovation. Niki Lauda and safety at the Nurburgring. The Nurburgring Nordschleife was once revered as the ultimate driver's challenge. 22.8 kilometers of elevation changes, blind crests, and gravel-lined ditches. In the mid-1970s, safety standards lagged far behind modern expectations. Armco barriers often ended abruptly, runoff was minimal, and medical facilities were rudimentary. Niki Lauda, already a two-time champion by 1975, led a driver protest before the 1976 German Grand Prix, arguing the Nordschleife was too hazardous for F1-level cars pushing over 300 kilometers per hour. Under team and commercial pressure, Lauda reluctantly raced on August 1, 1976. By lap 2, he lost control at 190 miles per hour on the Flugplatz Straight, was launched into a barrier, and his Ferrari burst into flame. Immobilized under burning fuel, he inhaled toxic gases and suffered severe burns to his face, chest, and hands. Fellow drivers, notably Arturo Merzario, risked their own lives to pull him from the wreck. Lauda spent weeks in hospital and endured 27 operations. Remarkably, he returned to racing just 6 weeks later at Monza, with bandaged hands and sewn-in eyelids to protect against debris. His courage and advocacy changed mindsets. The FIA announced they would no longer visit the Nordschleife. The German Grand Prix shifted to the modern Nurburgring GP Strecke from 1977 onward. Moreover, Lauda's accident accelerated the introduction of mandatory crash barriers at all circuits, generous runoff areas, and on-site medical teams with rapid intervention vehicles. His protest and suffering gave birth to a standardized homologation process. From that point, any track hosting F1 had to meet rigorous safety criteria before cars ever turned a wheel. Nelson Piquet Jr. and Crashgate. The glitz of the Singapore Grand Prix inaugural night race in 2008 masked a darker maneuver. On lap 14, Nelson Piquet Jr.'s Renault suffered an unexplained heavy crash at turn 17. The resulting safety car neutralized the field, allowing teammate Fernando Alonso, who had pitted just before the collision, to inherit the lead and ultimately claim victory. At the time, nobody suspected malpractice. Team principal Flavio Briatore and chief engineer Pat Simons praised Piquet's bravery in post-race interviews. But in July 2009, after Renault announced they would not renew Piquet's contract, The Brazilian driver revealed that the crash had been deliberate, ordered by Briatore and Simons to manufacture a safety car. The FIA launched an extensive investigation, interviewing dozens of team and FIA personnel and examining radio communications. The fallout was seismic. Renault was stripped of all constructor points from the 2008 season. Briatore received a lifetime ban, later overturned in court, but he left the sport. And Simons was banned for 5 years. The scandal prompted the FIA to introduce a new Articles 151C provision in the International Sporting Code, forbidding any action that could affect the result of a race. The wording explicitly targets engineered retirements, pit stop manipulations, or any scheme to tamper with natural racing conditions. Crashgate remains one of the darkest chapters in F1 history, but its exposure ensured that ethical lines were redrawn with the sternest penalties. Michael Schumacher and the team orders ban. By 2002, Ferrari and Michael Schumacher were dominant forces. At the Austrian Grand Prix on June 16th, Rubens Barrichello led comfortably, only to receive a coded radio message, "Michael is faster than you," on the final straight of the last lap. Barrichello eased off, allowing Schumacher to pass and take victory. The crowd jeered as Schumacher celebrated, and the team's sporting director, Jean Todt, was reprimanded by race stewards. The public outcry was immediate. Calls for integrity and fairness reverberated through television broadcasts and fan forums. The FIA amended the sporting regulations for 2003, introducing Article 43.1 that banned team orders which interfere with a race result. Violations could carry fines, grid penalties, or disqualification. The rule proved difficult to enforce. Teams used increasingly opaque radio codes and pit wall signals. By 2011, the FIA acknowledged it was impossible to police every instruction and lifted the blanket ban, while requiring teams to declare radio communications to the FIA after each event if requested. Schumacher's era at Ferrari thus illustrates how a champion's advantage and a team's strategic choice can prompt a clampdown, even if temporary, to preserve sporting integrity. Lewis Hamilton. Style and comfort matters. Lewis Hamilton's influence extends far beyond the cockpit. A fashion trendsetter and outspoken activist, he challenged the FIA on personal equipment rules.
It's almost like a step backwards if you think of the steps we're taking as a sport and the more important issues and causes that we need to be focused on.
Ahead of the 2023 Bahrain Grand Prix, the FIA introduced a ban on drivers wearing jewelry, rings, necklaces, nose studs, citing potential safety hazards during crashes or fire incidents. Hamilton, who had worn a nose stud since his karting days and held a medical exemption in several series, refused to remove it. Supported by fellow drivers and media coverage highlighting the importance of personal expression, Hamilton negotiated a compromise. Drivers could apply for individual assessments to wear jewelry under specified conditions. The FIA formalized a process whereby any personal item must pass impact testing and be fire-resistant to a specified standard. The new rule balanced safety with identity, ensuring that driver comfort and cultural symbols are respected without compromising on regulations. On the technical side, Hamilton's vocal feedback on porpoising, oscillations caused by ground effect floors, during the 2022 season led the FIA to adjust the 2023 regulations. His reports of back pain and fatigue on circuits like Silverstone and Montreal prompted the FIA to raise the minimum ride height by 15 millimeters and stiffen plank wear limits. These changes reduced aerodynamic stalls at high speeds, improving driver health and car stability. Hamilton's star power reminds us that the drivers aren't just controlled by rules, they help craft them. Their well-being, personal choices, and on-track experiences feed directly into the continuous evolution of sporting and technical regulations. Formula One thrives on speed, innovation, and showmanship, but it also evolves through its controversies and tragedies. Max Verstappen's youthful fearlessness rewrote age limits, license criteria, and on-track conduct rules. Ayrton Senna's championship, under an odd point system, tore down unfair scoring that favored peaks over consistency. Jules Bianchi's fatal crash ushered in the halo and virtual safety car, saving countless lives. Niki Lauda's fiery accident at the Nordschleife transformed track homologation and safety standards worldwide. Nelson Piquet Jr.'s Crashgate scandal forced ethics entirely back under the FIA's microscope, with harsher penalties for manipulation. Michael Schumacher's team orders saga led to a temporary ban on strategic interference, and Lewis Hamilton's stand on jewelry and porpoising highlighted the importance of driver comfort, identity, and health in crafting regulations. Each of these stories underscores a fundamental truth. In Formula One, it often takes a singular moment, brilliant, reckless, or heartbreaking, to expose a flaw, spark a debate, and compel change. As cars grow faster, technology more complex, and stakes ever higher, we can expect more rulebooks to be rewritten. Because in this high-stakes world, the edge often lies not just in engineering, but in the boldest moments on track.